This probably comes as no surprise to you if you've seen a little bit of the videos on this channel, but I like to play a little bit of video games. You know, I got my keyboard, my mouse here, my nice little monitor, except this is not a little monitor. This is a big monitor. Playing a game or watching a movie in full screen at 4K is really nice, but you aren't really able to do anything else. Typically, you'd solve that by having another screen. And now, moving the CRT won't solve my problems. So this is about what my vision, my field of view looks like whenever I'm sitting down playing. And my peripheral goes a little bit over on both sides. Now, if I wanted to utilize the space where my CRT is to have another monitor for like OBS or Twitch chat or something, I'm gonna have to turn my head and maybe even my body, which isn't really ideal for doing some productivity. But thankfully, I have two different solutions I'm gonna show you. Big shout out to Blood West, by the way. That's what I'm playing. Chapter 2 came out pretty recently. Definitely check that out. But anyway, that's not what this is about at all. What this is about is I want to be able to see things. How I already am doing things is I have things like the Stream Deck or my Go XLR that I can kind of see out the corner of my eye. While I'm over here, I can pivot my attention to them and be able to still do what I'm currently doing without having much interruption. And then I thought, I will have something sort of similar to that. What if I added in another little screen that that blends in really well? What if I added a little screen that goes right here on my desk next to the things that I already am utilizing and looking at occasionally? Perhaps that will be good, huh? So the little monitor comes with some cables, but they are entirely too short, so I will not be using them. This right here is the Laserfights portable monitor, 7-inch HDMI IPS portable display. And as you can see, IPS doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Now this isn't bad by any means, but certainly not going to be competing with an OLED. Now, I do not have this zoomed in all the way because whenever I'm looking at this, it's not right in my face. It is a little away, so this way you can kind of tell what's going on with the display in terms of the pixel density from distance and things like that. Now, what I would say the main downfall of this, the thing that makes it hard for me to use this to be able to do productivity and multitasking, is that this is just really small. Now, to be fair, Reddit, I think, is just kind of better to use in a different mode anyway. Like, you don't really want to have this in widescreen, and that probably will fix it. Another thing you could try to do is I could go ahead and try to decrease the size, but like I just can't read this at all now, so probably wouldn't bother for this for general web browsing. And if you flip it, it does get a tiny bit better. I would say that this is usable if you're cool with only having like one or two posts on here at once, but I mean, still, definitely not the use case I would have for this. What about watching videos on it? Could you use this as a display for like a camera? Or could you just have a little YouTube or Twitch stream going on this? This is a dark video, and I would say, you can kind of see it. I think having things that are more dim, not the best for this, but I think that this is okay, and I think videos do look good on this. Like if you've ever watched something on your phone and you're fine with that, you're gonna be fine with this. This is not bad doing that at all. Here's a YouTube video I've done that actually has some light to it, and I do think that this looks good. If I've wanted to play and stream, I've basically had to set up a window and have OBS just kind of tucked in the corner so I can see, oh, is it actually showing up lol or horribly messed up? And then, oh yeah, we can see Twitch chat and kind of can see if I have any encoding issues or anything like that, which this is usable. This is manageable. It's okay, but I don't like it. I would have rather have something better, like a normal dual monitor setup would accommodate for. But I chose the OLED life. And unfortunately, being able to see Twitch chat and OBS, just the game preview and chat, pretty much non-existent. OBS can only scale so much, and the resolution of this just doesn't really work for it. But there is still a fix we can do. We can manually force this to do a higher resolution and see if that looks any better. And I forced it into 1080p. I mean, technically the scaling is different, but honestly, it didn't really get any easier to read. It's kind of just a screen size issue, I think. If you really wanted to use this particular setup and just be able to vaguely see what's going on, just see just a tiny bit more, you can force this into 1600 by 900, but really, I don't recommend it. If you wanted to be able to see just a tiny bit of stuff on Discord, you can do that, but I think this is probably just a no-go on productivity in general. Now let me show you what I ended up settling with. This right here. This is much larger and a higher resolution, and it's actually pretty nice. So after I picked out this and tried it and found that it didn't quite work for me, I didn't really know how far to go with all this. I didn't know where to go next. Something that I thought could be decent is if I took an old iPad and used that. And honestly, I think it might be decent, but there was a bunch of modifications I was going to have to do. And in the meantime, I decided I would try something else. Ideally, if I had a place to put a 21.5 inch or a 24 inch monitor, that would be really easy to get my hands on that, and it would be very cheap, but I just do not have the space for that at all. So what I decided to do was take the only thing I knew that I had around and that I liked and compare it, and that would happen to be a laptop screen, which, as you could tell, it fits pretty well, and I have a bunch of experience with my laptop because it's my laptop and I use it quite often, and I like the screen on it and I like the size. So basically I just put it up there and I was like, yeah, I think that would work. But what exactly is this setup anyway? This is the Neophyte T14P, which is a portable monitor. It is 14 inches and 1080p. It says IPS and HDR, but honestly, that doesn't really mean anything inherently, so I wouldn't worry about that. And then we have the KDD iPad holder clamp mount, which I'm using to hold it up. This right here is hooked up via USB-C for power and a mini HDMI cable to a full-sized HDMI. If you're not a madman like me and don't want to hook it up as a secondary monitor for your main desk, it comes with this nice little sleeve and stand that I can't get out of the box with one hand. It's really dark, but it's got all these nice little folds so you can do whatever. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but these seem to clasp together. They either have some weak magnets or it's just the force of this. They're definitely heavier. But the real cool thing is that this right here, these spots, are these cables. They came with it and they're working pretty well. Correction. This cable came with it. This is slightly too short for my setup, but I think it's a normal length. Now again, this is pretty similar to what it looks like whenever I'm playing. This kind of includes my peripheral. If I'm actually focusing on playing, it's a lot more like this, but if I want to just move my eyes a little bit and not even really turn my head, I can see all this. So it just takes a tiny bit to be able to see that screen up there. And what's on this screen? Well, I have OBS here right now. This is big enough for me to be able to see that. That's big enough for me to be able to read anything. These right here are, I mean, I can still read them. They're obviously a little smaller, but these are things that you don't have to focus on all the time. Same with this. Once you have your audio level set up, you just kind of see the meter. The way I have my audio set up anyway, I don't really need to see this. The only reason I need this on here is in case something's really wrong, then I can very quickly tell. And you can even kind of see, again, if you go and look for it, you can even see the tiny text right there to see if you have any encoding issues or anything like that. Like this right here, the resolution and the screen size, totally great for that. By default, this comes at 150% scale on Windows. Don't do that. It will look much harder to read. I'll show you. By default, Windows sets this to 150% window scaling, and I really don't like this. This is very not usable. This is basically what the other one looked like, and the other one's PPI, like the actual image quality and screen density, did not bother me at all. It was just the resolution it squished everything and it made this not usable. Like this, I can't do anything with this. Look, I can read one line here. Like, that's just not gonna work. If you're using Discord, 150 works just fine though. Hey, join my Discord. Join that. You can definitely read that. You can't actually, probably, but, you know, I do have it linked in the description, so you might just have to go there and click on it so you can see what the name of this is. Is this the best solution out there? Is this thing amazing? No, of course not. Is it pretty good? Yeah. Am I happy with it? Yeah. I think the screen looks good enough. I think the cost is not too bad. And I think setting this up and being able to use a tablet mount and just hook everything up that came in the box, like, it's just very simple, easy, straightforward, and not too expensive. Should you get it? Well, I think that depends. Can you fit it into your space very well? I fit this into my space pretty well. I'm happy with it. Again, I told you I just used the laptop to see if I thought it would make sense. Really, I think that's the TLDR. I'm playing a video right here. Can you watch videos on this? Yes, you can. Could you put a game on it? Can you put OBS on it? Can you put Discord on it? Yes, you can. Can you do whatever you can with a laptop screen with this? Pretty much. That's the question I would ask yourself and start from is, what do I want to do with a laptop screen? What can I do with a laptop screen? And here we are. I want to use a laptop screen as a second monitor and do all those things. Do you? Do you already have a laptop? Put the laptop wherever you think a second screen would be and see if it works well for you. Put something, like, put YouTube on the laptop screen and hold it up right here and see if it makes sense. And if it does, I recommend this fully. If it doesn't, maybe start exploring some other options.